Do not disturb. Okay. So thank you again for joining me. I have this new segment where I just do a lot of girl talk, and I only want female guests. I don't want no male guests. Alexa, cut off alarm. So whatever the case may be, I brought you on today so that you can tell the girls what they need to do to buy a house. So we have composed your top 7 things that the girls need to know when it comes to getting in the process of buying a house. Okay. So before we jump into that, go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know what you do and how we know each other. And you, if you want to tell them the backstory and our experience, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, so I am D.Reed, and I am with Keller Williams South Park. I've been there probably going on almost 2 years now, and I met Miss Aisha during a home tour, and she was very adamant about finding a home, finding one big enough for her children, making sure that they had the things that they need, and she was very prepared, very, very prepared.
Yes.
So that is always a plus. She knew what she wanted. She knew what her financing was. She knew where she had to be. She knew what the HOA had to be. Very prepared. Very, very prepared.
Thank you.
Find a home.
So I brought D on because, like I said, home ownership isn't for everybody, but for those of you who do desire to own a home or own any type of property, there are some steps that you need to take to prepare yourself. Now, me, I was extremely prepared. This was something that I've wanted for a long time, and I wasn't going to let anything stand in my way. So I prepared myself, but of course there was a lot of things that my realtor helped me out with along the way. Now, when I said I prepared myself, I knew what I wanted as far as what type of house I wanted, or how big I wanted, and I also had money saved up. Okay, but for everybody else who is not prepared but need to know what to do to get prepared, I brought D on today so that she can tell you guys what to do and what not to do. Okay, so like I said, D, this is a all girls segment. I only want female guests on my show, and I do appreciate you taking the time out to sit with me today. Now let's go over your top 7 things that the girls need to know when it comes to buying a house or preparing to buy a house, or just if you're in that headspace where you want to own any type of property. Let the girls know what they need to do, step by step. So 1 through 7, let them know what they need to do to get prepared for that.
Okay. Okay. So, first thing is save your money. The more money that you have saved, the better,
Okay.
especially with the market right now. It's very competitive. It's not like a market where you have sellers paying closing costs. It's not that kind of market right now. So the more money you have saved, the better.
Okay.
Kind of like, make sure you have your budget in order. Make sure that you know what you're spending. Like right now, step one would be to create that tight budget for yourself. If you have $20 extra that you can put aside to save towards something, put that $20 aside to something. It'll build up. That's very important. And then step two is to set a realistic goal. You have to have a realistic goal. So if you know that you're making $40,000 a year, and you know that your monthly payments might be towards the bills. You might have a car note, credit cards, things like that. If you know that that's taking half of that, then you need to factor in, okay, what my mortgage payment would be. So Aisha was very good with that. She knew what she couldn't go over. So the price
Right.
point determines what your mortgage will be. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I come across people that, they'll say, and they just don't know, and they'll say, okay, well, I want to look at a $500,000 house. Okay, can you afford a $500,000 house?
Right.
So some people don't know. So the step two would be to make sure that you're being realistic. You writing down what you have, you know what you're paying, everything, because that's the same thing a lender is going to do. Okay, so then step 3 will be anyone who's listening on this podcast. This is part of step 3. You're finding out what you need to do. You're finding out like different programs that they may have, down payment assistance, FHA, USDA, FHA 203K. A lot of people don't know what that one is. If you want a modular home, you need to educate yourself on how to do that.
Yep.
So ask those questions, reach out to people that you know, things like that. Educate yourself. It won't help to be educated. It won't hurt to be educated. Okay. So then step 4, that's when you want to start speaking to lenders. I cannot stress this enough. Lenders are not created equally. So my advice would be to kind of go to more of those mortgage type lenders, like a Movement Mortgage or a Fairway. They tend to be more successful right now than the banks, which would be like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I would say start with like a Movement Mortgage or a Fairway, and then ask them those questions. Ask them if they are able to do down payment assistance, because sometimes they're not. Ask them if they're familiar with USDA. Sometimes they're not. Ask them, what score you need to have for this. What the HOA, what the max on HOA prices are. You need to be well aware and well versed on what you need, because the lenders, if I'm honest, they're not going to volunteer. They're going to say, okay, it's FHA. And then you might come across someone else and they say, well, I have down payment assistance. And then you go to that lender that you've already had pull your score, you've already been working with them for a few weeks. And guess what? They're going to say, oh, I can't help you with down payment assistance. You'll have to switch lenders. And that's
Yep.
starting over. Do not do that to yourselves.
Yes.
It hurts.
Before you go to your next one, let me just say, definitely speak to your lenders about down payment assistance or any assistance that you're going to get with your home. I found a program that would offer me a certain amount of money towards my down payment and my closing costs. And what had happened was, with my case, my lender had also knew of some programs. So she had me signed up for like 2 and 3 programs to give me money towards my home. But what she wasn't thinking about was that each programs require a different set of information from the buyer. Okay. So one program needed this amount of information from me. The other 2 programs required 2 other sets of information that they needed from me. And so what had happened was my lender got overwhelmed, and she was doing shit that she want. Oh, excuse my language. She was signing me up for programs that she had never worked with before. So she didn't know what to expect. So what had happened was my closing date went from October to December, because she had so much stuff that she had to get together for these other programs to get me signed up for. Now, I do not want you guys to get discouraged, because that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is, make sure that your lender is familiar with these down payment assistance programs, because that'll help her as far as getting everything together for what the programs require, because what they require is different than from what your lender is going to require. So I just wanted to put that out there. Definitely speak with your lender about these different programs and these different assistance programs. Also, one of the programs that I work with, I will link it below. And when it comes to programs too, check with the city that you're buying a house in. I bought a house in North Carolina. The city that I live in, they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they gave me $8,000 towards my down payment and closing costs. I'm familiar with the city of Charlotte. I was born and raised in Charlotte. The city of Charlotte is giving up to almost $20,000 towards a down payment assistance, as well as your closing costs. So definitely check with the city that you live in, because they have these funds for us to purchase homes. They actually want us to purchase homes. Okay. They just not telling us that, but they have the funds to help you with your down payment assistance as well as your closing costs. So do not be, don't feel like because you don't have the money that it can't happen, because it can. I'm a single mother of 4. I raised my children by myself. I worked as a package handler at FedEx. I was lifting boxes for a living, making less than $40,000. and I was able to purchase a home. My home valued at $210,000, and I was able to purchase a home. Okay. So do not let nobody tell you that you cannot buy a home, because you can. Okay. Go ahead, girl. I just want to put that out there.
I love it. Okay. And then another thing is, just to hit on the lender thing, you might not be open to a lender. You might not need a lender. They have rent to own programs, or they have similar type programs where they will go and purchase the house for you, and then you basically pay
them
that
back.
company.
Yeah.
So it may not be a lender. If you're discouraged with the lender, that's fine. They have other options too. But once you educate yourselves, you will learn. And then, yeah, all states are not created equal. So whatever state you're in, I'm sure they have programs. I'm sure they have people that will answer all of the, state specific questions that you have. Okay. So number 5 is create that list after you know your pre-approved amount, right? So let's say you're pre-approved and now you're like, okay, now what? This is when you want to kind of pinpoint location. You want to pinpoint the house. You want to pinpoint, HOA. If you are pre-approved for 250, then you need to make sure that if you're in a community that has an HOA, that you have the money in the budget for that HOA. So if it's 250, you cannot go into a townhouse and then say, okay, well, I want to offer 250, and then the HOA is 250 a month. You're going to be over. Yeah. What you're going to be over. So you want to create that list, and once you're pre-approved and you start knowing, okay, well, look at the websites and see, okay, where are, houses that I like or properties that I like that's in that area, or, what can I afford? Be honest with yourselves and don't be discouraged, because if it's an investment property or something you say, okay, I can live here for 2 years and then I can sell it. You can refinance. The options are limitless. So don't feel like, oh, okay, I'm not approved for what I want right now, so let me just not look or not try. Please don't do that. Okay. Because it's options out there for you. I promise. So then I would say after that, once you kind of know what you want, you know what you're looking for, and you're secure in those thoughts, that's when I would say find a realtor. So you find a realtor, you ask them the tough questions.
Call D. Call D.
And I've been all the way to Winston-Salem and sold a house. So I'm flexible with my location. If you're in Hickory, Denver, wherever, I will come. So just find a realtor, find someone that's well-versed in what you're looking for. If they're not well-versed, they may be able to help you find someone that is, or they may try to help you as much as they can, educate themselves. I don't know all the answers, but I know when I come across someone that asks me something, I say, hey, I don't know the answer, but I'll find out. So, right. And then I try to match people's schedules. So I remember when we were working with Aisha, her schedule was more flexible. So, she might have time in the daytime, and then, the evenings, we both are parents, so we both had kids to look out for and things like that. So it worked for us. Sometimes, people like to look at homes early in the morning. I have a child going to school. So it's just a matter of what works for you, the personality type. Yeah. Who you want as a person that's working for you and your team. Okay.
Yep. So I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. I just wanted to piggyback off what you were saying, but you go first, because I can wait.
Oh no, I was going to number 7.
Okay.
But you can stop me.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So I would say that number 7 is being open. Because right now, I would say with the competitiveness of the market, it's like, okay, you have a plan, you know that you want to be in this area, you know that you have your realtor, you have the lender, and now because of the market that we have, it's where you're kind of figuring out what you like more versus what you need. And that's just what it is right now. Like, you might know for a fact that you want to be in that certain area, you're in that price point. Well, guess what? It's probably for every house, it's probably 20 offers.
Yep.
So be a little open, and think of, okay, this is temporary if it has to be, if it's not exactly what you want, or have the mindset of, I'm going to make it to what I want it to be.
Yep. I know, in my case, what I was gonna say first, let me say this. Your relationship with your realtor is probably the most important relationship out of the whole ordeal. And I say that because your realtor is responsible for doing everything. Okay. Let me say this. My realtor, which is D, she was responsible for everything. She kept in contact with the sellers. She was up on it when it came to my inspections. The what is it called? When they value your house, what is that called? Because it's slipping my the appraisal. She was on top of everything, right? So when it comes to your realtor, you want to make sure that you and your realtor are seeing eye to eye when it comes to a home that you want. I have been through every bit of 3 or 4 realtors before I had even got to D. And what had happened was, one realtor was just trying to sell me anything so she could hurry up and get her commission and be done with it. She was willing to put me in, have me buy a cardboard box. Okay. And the reason why I say the relationship with your realtor needs to be like this is because any realtor will sell you a house, okay? But the right realtor will make sure that you're purchasing a house that you are going to be comfortable in and that you're going to love, okay? My journey, my home ownership journey has been different. Or my story is going to be different from everybody else's, I can tell you that. But when I got with D, the journey was so much more easier with D than it was with the 3 or 4 realtors that I had before her. Okay. Like, I told her what I wanted. We went and seen houses. She didn't show me houses that wasn't in my budget. She didn't show me houses that didn't have the room sizes that I needed. She showed me houses that had everything that I asked for. Okay. So definitely make sure that you are vibing with your realtor, because your realtor plays an important role in your home ownership process, because they literally handle everything for you. Literally everything for you. All you have to do once you pick out the house, the realtor gets in contact with the seller. The realtor starts making demands with the seller as far as, well, can you take this off? Or there's a mark on the wall. The bathtub was installed incorrectly. There's paint chipped. Can you do something about this carpet? The realtor handles all of that. Okay. So definitely make sure that you have a really good relationship with your realtor. And that's all I wanted to say on it. As far as the realtor, y'all need to make sure that y'all realtor got y'all back, because some of these realtors just trying to get a commission. Y'all have to keep in mind, they don't get paid by the hour. They get paid by how many houses they sell. And they not out here selling houses every day. They not closing on houses every day. So of course they're going to try to hurry up and get you into a house to sell it so they can make their money. D was not like that. She was extremely patient with me. She was extremely understanding of what I wanted. She was there for me every step of the way. When things went wrong, D was like literally my bodyguard. Like, no, that's not going to happen. So you definitely want to make sure that your relationship with your realtor is like that. Me, I purchased my house. It'll be a year in December, y'all. It'll be a year in December that I have been a homeowner, but I still keep in contact with her because of other business ventures that I have going on. So you definitely want to make sure that your relationship with your realtor is really like that, because when it comes to buying this house, it ain't something that you can just give back. Once you sign them papers, that's your house. So you definitely want to make sure that you're purchasing something that you want. You want to make sure that you're purchasing something that's up to code, that is built. Well, I bought a new built house. So my house is built from the ground up, but even still, you want to make sure that they built it right. You want to make sure that the paperwork is in line. You want to make sure that all your ducks is in a row, and that's what your realtor does for you. Okay. So is there anything else you want to add to this before we get off of here?
Let me think. We hit on a lot of I feel like meaty things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would say just be open, and then it's okay if after you close, as long as you have a relationship with your realtor. I remember, what was that, on closing day, or was it the final walk where the heat wasn't working?
That we actually had issues after closing day. So it was like maybe a day or two, maybe even a week after that, we were still having issues with my heat. I wanted this house so bad, a lot of stuff I was letting slide. So like we had some paint that was chipped in my bathroom. I let it slide because like I said, this was my house. Okay. That's a story time for another time, but this was my house. So we had a lot of little small issues. They was extremely minor, but they was issues nonetheless. The heat wasn't working 100%. Like it wasn't warming my house up like I wanted it to. So we had to get the guys to come back out here for that. A couple months ago, I had an issue with my garbage disposal. We had to get the guys to come back out here for that. There was a lot of little things, but even after closing, Dee still took care of that stuff for me. Okay. She was still on the phone with the sellers, letting them know, hey, you got to get somebody out there. Something's not working. It's been her warranty that these things supposed to work properly. If not, then they need to be replaced. She still handled that for me, not because she was my realtor, but because we had built that type of relationship up with one another, that she was okay with handling that for me. So like I said, your relationship with your realtor is probably one of the most important steps when it comes to purchasing a home, because they just handle the stuff that you don't even think about. They handle stuff like that. So Dee, I want to thank you again. It'll be a year in 2 months, and I still feel like I just bought my house. So I definitely love it. But the purpose of this episode, like I said, is I wanted to kind of educate the girls on what they need to do to get ready to purchase a home. My sister, the owner of Gravity Girl, which is also one of our sponsors, she just purchased a home down in Georgia. And so her closing on her house was what motivated this episode. So shout out to my girl. Oh, and shout out to our sponsor, Gravity Girl from the foot. Gravity Girl is a collection from the Footage Boutique, online boutique. And this is one of her collections, and I love it to death. I wear it all the time. I used to have a Gravity Girl hat. I think one of my daughters snatched it from me, but whatever the case may be, my sister closing on her home is what motivated this episode. So shout out to her. Of course, I'm not finna call nobody else but my girl Diaria when it comes to any information real estate related, because I don't trust nobody else but her. Whatever property I decide to buy next, I'm going through her. If y'all asking if I recommend her, 5 stars all across the board. Like I said, she handled a lot of things that I wasn't even paying attention to. Stuff that I wasn't even worried, like stuff that I shouldn't even be worried about. She was taking care of that behind the scenes. So thank you so much for that, Dee. I promise you, I truly appreciate you. You don't understand. I was just telling you before we hit record, or before we even started, how I done switched my little room around because I got me a bigger bed because I'm a queen now. So I just got to, sleep in a king size bed because I'm big. Like, I love my house. I love, love, love my house. Thank you so much. If you want to, go ahead and plug yourself in, let the people know how they can get in contact with you. Just so you guys know, this podcast is located in North Carolina. Dee works out of Charlotte, North Carolina, but she does travel to surrounding cities. So don't be in Texas calling Dee trying to help her find you a house in Texas. I don't think it works like that. I'm sure she probably got some friends down there, but come on, let's keep it real now, okay? But go ahead and plug yourself in so the people know how to get in contact with you.
Yes, so my telephone number is probably the easiest way, and it is 985-415-3456. And then if you want to email me, it's the letter D.Reed, REED, @kw.com. And
All
I
right.
will come back. Or you can follow me on I have Instagram, I have Facebook. It's not that many people with my name, so it's
I'll tag everything down below so they can get in contact
okay
with you on social media. I have it tagged below. But once again, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I really wanted to get the girls get this information out to the ladies, because I really feel like, even though this is an all-girl show, anybody listening to this information can take heed to it. So thank you again for joining me, and hopefully I'll have you on again soon so we can talk about some other stuff. But when it comes to the house stuff, you're going to be my number one call. So you ain't got to worry about no competitors, because I don't fool with nobody else. But thank you again. I really truly appreciate you joining us. Ladies, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is Sippin' Pretty with Aisha Hadiya. This is the second episode of this segment. I will have some other stuff that I will be incorporating, but for the most part, y'all just get this tea that I'm sipping and we're gonna take it there. So with that being said, y'all have a good day. Peace.
Bye.